Accept.
We can start.
We ready?
Yes.
All right, we will call to order at 4:16. Our tardiness owing to the unexpected nature of my accepting the chair. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. So. All's in favor? Carried. And would we have anything to discuss about minutes from the April 22nd meeting? We need those minutes as well? Are we in the habit of doing that? Sure. Take a motion for accepting those minutes. Stenhouse, all those in favor? Carried. New business. Okay. Toby, this is all you.
Yeah, all me today.
You're on.
What did you say?
It's your show from here on.
Okay. So we have 3 development permit application. So all from Holy Family Catholic School Division. So the first one is development permit application 2025-20. And what they intend to do, they want to have the address is 9629 89 Avenue. So what they want to do is that they want to have a gravel parking lot and a 6-foot chain link fence. So the lot is actually directly opposite the school. This is I'm talking about Glen Mary. So there's an empty lot across to Glen Mary. It is an empty lot, and their intention is to convert that space to a gravel parking lot, and they want to put a chain link fence around it and also put a gate. So, however, the area is districted mixed business industrial. So it is an industrial area, although the school itself is districted community development. And there is a section of the land use bylaw that does not allow that has required all parking lots in industrial area to be paved. But in these particular circumstances, there is no building. So the requirement is that any parking lot at the front of a property in an industrial area, they want it to be paved. But the one at the back and at the side of the lot does not have to be paved. But in this instance, there's no building on ground. It is an empty lot, so the requirement is not really peculiar to this particular property, because what the land use bylaw is saying is that if the parking lot is at the front, then the parking space should be paved. But those at the back and the side, we don't have to pave them. But now that we have an empty lot, there is no defined front, back, or side. So we're thinking that if the NPC are looking at this application, my suggestion is that since the land use bylaw also state that if the material used for the parking lot is okay, because the major intent of paved parking lots is so that when the vehicles are moving in, they don't bring dirt or anything that will destroy our road. So that's the major intent. So if the material they're willing to use is something that is not going to bring like dirt into our road, then gravel parking lots might be allowed. Another thing I want to check this. Okay. So the proposed material is gravel, which we believe might not really bring in so many dirt onto the road so far. They are maintaining it and every other thing. And that is why we put that as part of the condition. The condition is that the entrance to the road should be properly paved to minimize the carrying of dirt into the road. And another thing is that another condition we put is that they should regularly maintain the gravel parking lots to avoid bringing of dirt and other things to the road. So that's application number 1.
Right. I have a question too myself, but not wanting to hold the floor. Does anyone have a? Is this like, there's gonna be a gate on, is this gonna be like somewhere where people are go to and fro parking all the time on the regular during operations? Cause, or is this sounds like something where like, we've got a few buses, we wanna park them over here.
Yeah, I think they want to put their buses, the school buses.
So it's not gonna be like 40, 50 vehicles coming and going like a
No,
school, like,
no,
like they're
So it's
actually.
majorly for parking their buses.
So the idea of a bunch of dirt getting tracked all the time, often, well, not off the road, but on the road is probably very low risk with what their intent is here.
Yes. And they want to put a fence too, a chain link fence and a gate, so it's going to be like a controlled parking lot.
The lot is empty, right?
Yes, it's
How about the adjacent lots to the northern, the?
So the adjacent lot is the school, Glen Mary School.
No, there is a road, right? The lot that is next to this empty lot, is it?
Is it-
developed or is it vacant?
Is it beside?
Yeah, the one beside it.
So the one beside it actually, I think also belongs to Glen Mary because I think they have been using the back of that lot for their parking too.
Yeah, where is it developed?
No, it is developed, yeah.
There's a building on it,
There's a building on it.
and the one to the other side.
Yes.
Okay,
So
so,
the other side, I think there's a small road, like a lane at the beside the main lot.
On the other, so to the east, there's an existing building.
to the east and
And then
the west.
to the west, there is a vacant yard space, and then there is another industrial building further on.
Okay, and it is sloping to the west.
It is sloping to the west in
Okay.
terms of the drainage, yeah.
Yeah, I was asking because if it's vacant now, and after the kind of level the surface and compact it, then the drainage will kind of, I don't want it to drain to the next one if there's a
Mhm.
building. That's what I'm saying. Okay, cool, thanks.
Thank you.
So do they have a plan for that to drain
To the road.
to the road?
Yes.
Got a question or two. What is the surface of their land now?
Grass? Like,
A mixture probably of grass and gravel at the moment. It's just the site's not been actively used.
Never been actively used kind of thing?
I don't want to say never, but not regularly.
not in recent memory.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what the soil is underneath because, I mean, buses aren't light.
Yeah.
They're light, but they don't have kids in them possibly, but they're not lightweight vehicles. And, you know, even, I mean, I like the idea of if this, you talk about transition area, is that gonna be like the driveway in kind of thing you're talking about? So that would be paved?
Yeah.
So there's gonna be like a buffer area between that and wherever they're doing their thing.
A concrete access from the road into the property. Yes.
Is it specifically concrete or they could choose?
Their site plan shows concrete,
Okay.
so that is what we're.
Very good. And there's no sidewalk on that side of the street.
There's.
No, sir.
Is anyone prepared to move this scenario? We've got a couple options before us: approve, subject to prevent potential conditions, or deny on the basis that it doesn't comply with the requirements of in these terms, hard surface requirements. And the recommendation that we've been given is to approve subject to potential conditions. Is there anything we need to add in when we say potential conditions, or was that just in case something came up in our conversation today?
Yeah, because we asked them to pave the apron, the entrance, so we are putting this condition in case they decided not to do that, so we kind of have like a leverage.
So whoever makes this motion should verbally specify the hard surface apron.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or that's your recommendation anyways.
I think it should also have, I know you've mentioned it, but it's good to have a condition that it trains to the road. It's written in.
Condition 3.
Regularly maintained. Well, that's a pretty hard one for us to, that would be Director Kress's job to make sure condition number 2 is over time, because once we say yay,
Yes, it would be up to that one for it.
so is there, Toby, is there anything specific that condition 3, whoever makes this motion, is there some specific wording you would like to be read for that condition 3 for this, just so that we get the motion properly dealt with?
Probably, it's probably written out pretty well on the site plan. Says lot will be gravel to drain to 89 Avenue, lot will be sloped to the middle and drain to 89 Avenue. Says that right on the site.
That is true. So perhaps just the condition that we did miss putting a condition on this one. That the development complied with the site plan that was submitted, so if we add that, then that. Makes it explicit,
Almost covers.
probably a simpler approach.
Yeah.
Very good. Is anyone ready to get this one?
Sure. Put a motion there that the Municipal Planning Commission approved development permit number 2025-20 for a gravel parking lot at lot 58, block 10, plan 05225291. Subject to conditions as listed on the site plan.
And the other 2 listed conditions,
They're all listed on the site plan.
So I don't think one is listed on the site
I
plan.
don't think they have the maintaining of
Yeah, but how do you? Can we?
On page 7 of 38, those 2 conditions?
yes, those 2
Okay,
conditions.
so you want me to read those?
Yes, please.
As per conditions, number 1, the paved apron or suitable hard surface transition must be installed at the access points between the gravel parking lot and the adjacent roadway, either during the construction of the parking lot or no later than 6 months after its completion. And condition number 2, the gravel parking area must be regularly maintained, including grading and compaction, to ensure a stable surface. Dust control measures such as periodic watering, use of dust suppressant products, or surface stabilization materials must be implemented as needed to prevent the tracking of dirt or gravel onto public roads. The installation of the fence must be no closer than 2 feet from the fire hydrant at the northeast corner of the site.
All right. Very good. Do we all understand the motion? In favor? And it's carried. Item 2,
So 2 is Good Shepherd. And address is 981071R. And what they intend to do is that there is an existing building at the entrance of Good Shepherd. So they want to carry out the demolition of that building and use the cleared space as a gravel parking lot too. So their intention is to have 10 parking space on that space. Then there will be a curb cut, and at the entrance to the proposed to have a landscape green zones. And except at all the side, along all the 4 sides, except the entrance to the parking lots. So like I said earlier, the school is districted community development, and the land use bylaw is not really does not really speak specifically regarding paving art servicing requirements for community development area. It's majorly talk about paving for industrial area and commercial area. However, despite the fact that the land use bylaw does not really speak about art servicing or paving in community development area, all adjacent properties to this particular school are all residential property and they are all paved. Their parking lots are all paved, which kind of making us think like since every adjacent properties are mostly residential area and they are all paved, having a gravel parking lot in this particular location might not be really advisable on our own part. So we spoke to the applicants about this and they are willing to pave the parking lot, just that they said it's a school and they need to like get some funding before they can do that. So the main thing is that they want to have a gravel parking lot for now, but they intend to pave it and they're asking us to like give them time to like pave the parking lots, like give them time to get the necessary funding to pave the parking lot. So, and we also like referred this application to other departments because it is very close to BTS, and we're thinking the gravel parking lot might have a negative impact on BTEX since the whole area around BTEX is paved. So we referred this application to every other people and they have less concern about it.
So during the time when I'm assuming this is the opposite of what we were just talking about. This is gonna be regularly used.
Yes.
Yes.
And during the non-operational hours of the school, so its proximity to the Baytex or other things, there's potential that people could use this all the time, park there to use the playground, for example, and that kind of thing. So this parking lot would get a lot more action than the bus one that we just
Yes.
discussed. Okay.
I have a question.
Okay.
So wondering, how does this compare to the parking lots that are only a couple of blocks away? For the daycare and for Springfield? Are those not gravel, and is that?
It is gravel. Honestly, when we receive this application, because I go to the daycare every day, it kind of comes to my mind that
Yeah.
as at the time they approved the daycare application, they allow a gravel parking lot, which was not supposed to be allowed, I guess, but it was allowed at that time. It was not meant to be allowed. I've not really checked the condition given to the daycare and why it was allowed, but it was never meant to be allowed.
The most recent school construction for EQB,
Mhm.
that one is paved. And also the reconstruction of Springfield's bus loop. And the parking that's immediately in front of that building is also paved.
But this would be more akin to the stuff like beside, because this is like, the parents that are gonna be picking up and dropping off their kids, that little loop there is already paved in front of Springfield. This would be more.
Akin to the staff parking. To
Yeah.
So is what you're
Right.
talking about.
Okay.
Sure. No one else has any other? Yeah.
Yeah, two things. One, is there any? Would there be much of a problem? Getting it paved sooner rather than later, to my mind, is kind of desirable.
Yes.
Maybe 2 years instead of 3.
So we gave them 3 because Alicia spoke with them and they said for them to get funding, it takes every 3 years. So the next time I think they can get a fund in the next 3 years. That is why we give them 3 years condition.
Okay, the other part is in the potential conditions, number 2. I think it is that one. Number 3. It says the parking lot facility may not approach past the property line onto the boulevard. It must be boulevard between the sidewalk. I think that 2 words must be. I think should be replaced by the, and the boulevard between the sidewalk and property line must be maintained as landscaped area. I think somebody did cut and pasting and to check if you're gonna make it into part of the motion, you probably want to have that wording corrected.
Okay.
I think the intention behind that, that condition is just to clarify because their site plan, does show a bit of a setback but it doesn't necessarily
Right,
accurately demonstrate or show that property line.
It
So,
talks about a must-be boulevard.
yeah.
I'm not sure there's such a thing, but
No, yeah. No, you're not wrong about the
yeah.
word.
Yeah, yeah, here and then.
This number 4 condition, that the Good Shepherd School site must be consolidated into a single lot no later. Why does it need to be consolidated into a
Oh,
single lot?
my apologies for not talking about that. So the school has a lot of lots with several legal description. So, and we are thinking for administration purpose, it will be easier to have all the lots consolidated into one with one legal description.
Oh, I see, okay, okay.
So this is a paperwork consolidation, not a,
A land titles.
yeah,
It is.
It's-
I'd like to jump in and speak to it as well if I could. It is a legacy issue. We have a lot of properties across the community where we have structures that are built across property lines. Particularly in this location, the risk may be low, but it's not zero that we could have some weird funny business where one parcel, because it is a legally existing parcel, is separated out of that site and sold without any proper access. It could create one of those crazy situations, and we do come across them every now and again. Like our director of engineering was talking about a time that CN accidentally sold an overpass, and not in our community, but in another Alberta community that shall not be named. So it's just an opportunity. This is an opportunity because this is a discretionary use for us to establish this condition. That being said, this is an additional condition and cost on the school division. So do want to acknowledge that, and it's up to the MPC if they want to keep it on. I think that the school division wouldn't complain if this particular condition went away, but we wanted to bring it forward for consideration because there is, I think it's 20 plus parcels. If you look at the map, it looks like a residential neighborhood should have been developed there, and then it all turned into the Good Shepherd School site.
Right.
So it is a bit of a mess. We've been also, as a municipality, consolidating some of those sites that are under our care and control. The pool and the Baytex site that are just across the street from this are a prime example.
And if it wasn't done, let's assume they cleared the property and decide, change my mind, we want to sell it, they could sell one lot. There'd be really nothing to stop them. They own it. It would fit the zoning that's there.
Well, the zoning is community, so there is a bit of restriction there on what people could do with it. It's not residential. That would mean that this was a higher risk situation. But it's still not an ideal scenario. I don't know why this wasn't consolidated into a single site when the school was built, but who knows? Ultimately, we have now put it out there to the school division. They know our preference for a consolidated site. But it's up to the NPC if we want to make this a condition of the permit, again, because of the timing of their budget cycles and wanting to work with the school division. We are proposing a fairly generous timeline on this condition.
okay.
So that is the intent behind the 3 years there, up to the NPC.
Well, personally, it gives me some comfort knowing that the town is not holding them to a standard we are not also. And by we, I can,
There are many,
you are not also carrying out in your own circumstances, so
Yeah,
there's that.
we are working on it. We've consolidated 3 parcels in the last year and a half where we had some strange lot lines.
What sort of cost is involved in that?
One, I would always recommend that when someone is doing or looking for a surveyor, that they get multiple quotes because the pricing can be highly variable. The pricing that we paid at the Baytex was in the order of $1,500.
Well, it's not bad, but yeah, that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
That's for the surveyor.
That was for the surveyor to consolidate the lots at land titles.
Okay, yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, you had a,
Yeah, I was going to ask about the same vision. Well, though I was looking at it from I was going to ask all these lots, are they under the same district? or different districts. If they're under the same district, then maybe no problem, but if they're under different district, what will be the impact on the flex generation from those stores? Like, for example, if it's in residential, you're consolidating to community store, it will affect flex in some way. Then another thing is, are they all serviced? If the lots are all serviced, it will be more expensive than 1,500 to consolidate them because you have to kind of, you cannot have multiple services on the lots, right? So you have to close all those services on those, not quite cheap.
The lots are created legally, there is no servicing, and they're all the community development district.
Yeah, then in that case, it makes very good sense to consolidate it into one. It makes administration much easier.
Any more? Other details? So we've got options approved, have gravel. Oh, one more thing. What about, is there some thought, just polling the group or asking for thoughts in the group? Is there any thought to, until such time as it is properly hard surfaced to, maybe a parking restriction sign for Good Shepherd use only? Is that a thing, or is that kind of ridiculous just to prevent extra wear and tear and use of this lot that they're gonna have to maintain? Would potentially decrease the amount that they would have to maintain it and the amount that might potentially get tracked onto our roads from it? Or would that not be something we should be concerned with?
That should be for the school division to decide, because the private property, right? They will end, they want to decide whether they want anybody to park on it, or they want to put a sign that it will serve the self-parking or restricted to it. Should be there. I would think that's something we should be present.
That's fair. I was just wondering about the tracking onto our streets, and by our, I mean yours.
Ours.
Which is everyone's, which is part of the concern why that condition is in there in the first place.
Yeah.
But if we want to leave it up to them to restrict that.
Well, they have a responsibility to meet certain, quote, reasonable standard of maintenance. And if there's stuff being tracked all over, it's not reasonable. If they say, well, it's other people parking there, you bought it, you brought it.
They can make that decision in the future if they choose, and someone has to enforce it. Yeah, so there you have it. Okay, thank you. That was my last thought about that. Anyone else's before we start trying to chew out a motion here? So our options: approve, approve subject to conditions, or deny. Our recommendation is to approve subject to conditions. We have the four that are listed on pages 17 and 18. Toby, for a motion, should someone make one here in short order to like all of those read in? That's their
Yes.
decision. Okay, is there someone willing to make that motion? Councillor Good?
I'll make the motion, that the municipal planning commission approve the development permit number 2025-21 for a gravel parking lot at lot 12, block 19, plan 8122211, subject to the conditions. Condition 1, that the parking facility must be hard surface no later than 3 years from the date of the development permit. The gravel parking area must be regularly maintained, include grading and compaction to ensure a stable surface. Dust control measures such as periodic watering, the use of dust suppressant products and surface stabilization materials must be implemented as needed to prevent the tracking of dirt onto public roads. 3, the parking facility may not encroach past the property line onto the boulevard, and the boulevard between the sidewalk and the property line must be maintained as a landscape area. That's the correct rewording of it?
Yes.
Okay. Number 4, that the Good Shepherd school sign must be consolidated into a single lot not later than 3 years from the date of the development permit.
All right, thank you. Everyone understands the motion on the table? Are we missing any discussion before vote? All those in favor? And it's carried. Okay, item 3.
The last application for today is the conference center. The address is 10307 99th Street. And what they intend to do is to have a 40 by 82 feet paved parking facility. So the reason why this is coming to the NPC is because a parking facility is a discretionary use for that district. So it is also zone community development, and parking facility is a discretionary use. So what do they intend to do? They propose to have additional parking lots towards the north end of the property. So, and as part of the development, they want the parking lot to be fully paved. And they also want to have a 10-foot cut curb at the entrance to the parking lot. And they also said there will be proper drainage of the parking lot towards the drainage system at the entrance of the parking lot. So the land use bylaw specifically wants the all parking lot to be paved, and this is like aligned with the requirement of the land use bylaw. So the bylaw wants all parking lot to be paved, and they intend to pave it. So there is really nothing. So this is like consistent with the requirement of the land use bylaw.
On this one, we do have 4 conditions as well. We do have the site plan condition, the curb cut, I'm noticing we don't have the attached specifications attached to the agenda, but we do have specifications that our engineer has reviewed, because in this circumstance, they are doing a curb cut across an existing sidewalk. So we would attach those specifications to the development permit application. The curb cut being set back a minimum distance from the northeast corner of the parcel, make sure that it complies with our land use bylaw. And that condition is in there because the site plan is not specific to the distance that curb cut is from the corner. So this just makes sure that we're not getting too close to the corner. And then this site is also another circumstance where there is multiple lots and the building is going across them. If the NPC did want to be mindful of the school division's budget and not have a requirement, this would be the preferred site between the two, because none of these lots could exist without legal access. They all have physical legal access from a municipal road. So there's a lower level of concern here, but it's the ability or the minimization of the complexity of administration is still here. Still a preference for the municipality to have the site consolidated into one. And for the same reason that the timeline on it again is 3 years to be as kind as we can to the school board's budgeting cycle. So that we're not surprising them.
This isn't like the other one where they're having I see there's a fence around the whole thing. They're not putting a gate or anything on this.
Don't believe there's
The
a
last
gate.
one.
No, but the site is currently fenced. They are proposing to do the paving. That was not a conversation that we had. It's their standard, their plan is to pave it. And it is primarily for service vehicles. Not for staff parking. They have that entire other parking lot on the other side, but this is more of an operational access for them.
Good. Counselor Good.
From the pictures I'm looking at and from street view, like there's a fair number of trees on the all around the perimeter. Is this going to be involving I'm not saying yes or no to the idea, but is it going to involve the expansion of the parking into the trees, or quote, whose trees are they anyways? You know, to a certain degree, some of the trees on the boulevard would probably the edge might be ours. Am I wrong?
The trees. I think they will need to remove some vegetation on their site. I don't believe they're.
Or they want?
Yes. There are boulevard trees surrounding the site on the outside of the fence that are the town's trees.
Right.
This is within their site boundary, so.
Okay, I just the picture was kind of,
Difficult to tell.
yeah, well, it looks very nice with the trees around it, I know, because you say it was gonna be part of a park, right? And it looks parkish right now, is it gonna really you know, impact that a lot, probably not in that area to some degree, but.
Seem to recall them wanting to build a shop type facility on this parcel once upon a time, and then they had a fire, and then all kinds of other interesting things happened, and now it's gonna be a parking lot. So there's some history here.
I believe your memory is fair. There was a previous discussion around this site that did not go.
Alright. So well, I guess, yeah, I'm sorry, I was just gonna ask if there's any more discussion before we try to craft a motion, but yeah.
This says that there is a conflict with the NPP. So are you planning to amend the NPP or? How do we resolve the conflict, whatever the conflict is?
Yeah, the area is zoned for a park. And
Well, the community development district is the district that is applied, or I didn't catch that in the report. The community development district is the district that is applied to the majority of the land. That is in the future use concept of the municipal development fund. And MVP, or is shown as a park in the municipal development plan, but I don't think that there is actually a conflict between this use and the MPP. I did not see that.
so when I check the map, it says the area is zoned for a park.
I tried to look at the map, where I was looking at it on the phone, because I was reading this in the thing now, just on the phone. Is there a property between this and the road, or this is, I just like, it? Because I kind of.
Sorry, I am going to pull up the MVP on the computer, because that will be the fastest way to get to a response.
Okay.
Okay, so within our future land use concept. All you can see here, a bunch of our green spaces and community development district spaces. It does call it a park. I think we should amend the MTP.
Okay.
This is kind of. The,
We have a lot of parks.
well, and they're all a little bit different. Some of them are green spaces and others are buffers. Some of them are actual park spaces. But this is still a parking area in the community development district. I don't think that a parking area is necessarily an inherent conflict with the park space. Many of our parks have parking areas. So I'm still gonna suggest that the actual use isn't a conflict in this case. That being said, if we want to, we could table this to the next MPC meeting, if that is what the MPC felt would be the right choice.
What's their timeline on wanting to engage this situation?
I think they would like to get to work on some of these sites over the summer.
And what would be the advantage to tabling it?
Potentially to allow us to amend the MVP.
But you essentially answered that.
Yeah.
Already,
Yeah,
so I don't see much point.
I mean, there's parking spaces at many of our
Yes.
green spaces, so I think that it's okay to proceed on that basis.
I'm just thinking. MPC meetings in the summer are problematic enough.
Mhm.
Um.
Yeah.
And. They could end up with quite a holdup.
Yeah.
If we decide to try to table this and then fail at getting together, finding a date that works for everybody or whatever else, or. You know, other people's life plans coming into play, we'll just leave it at that. That would be my concern, is that we unduly inconvenience this organization.
Mhm.
Well, I would worry about that if I really saw a conflict, a potential real conflict. And I don't. And that's my own feeling. I don't see that this is gonna cause, that having a parking lot there is gonna impact the neighborhood, the people, or whatever. At all. It might, yeah, I just don't see it impacting in any way, so my feeling is holding off. To say, no, I don't see the benefit there. To anybody, I don't see the harm by saying yes, so if I don't see the benefit of saying no, or no harm in saying yes. Yeah,
We're not establishing some, and I know we're not bound by precedent, I understand that, we're not establishing some other, you know, just even nebulous precedent that we might someday regret.
no. Change it.
Well, appreciate Emmy, you bringing that up, and anything else before we try to hammer a motion out on this one? Is there someone brave enough to, okay, well, we've got approve, subject to conditions, or deny. Our recommendation is approve, subject to conditions. There are 4 listed there on page 29 of 38. Anyone want to take a stab at those, or another motion if you have that in mind?
I'll go ahead. Motion that the municipal planning commission approve development permit number 2025-22 for a parking facility at lot 9-11, block 1, plan 3735AX, subject to the following conditions. Condition number 1, the parking facility must conform to the site plan received on June 3rd, 2025. Condition 2, the curb cut for the parking facility must comply with the town of East River general municipal standard. There would be a specification attached. Number 3, the curb cut must be set back a minimum distance of 6.1 meters from the northeast corner of the parcel. Condition number 4, that the conference center site must be consolidated into a single lot not later than 3 years from the date of the development permit.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this? We understand the motion. All those in favor? And it is carried. Heading back to our agenda for a new section, reports and information. So we have development reports on page 34. Is there anything admin would like to comment on these, or have we all read them? Are there any questions on these?
I guess I would just highlight that the work with the West Hill development is ongoing. We're currently finalizing the development agreement, and they have received building permits for all of the commercial buildings that are going up on that site. That's probably the hottest one. There was also a letter of compliance, which is not our standard process. Not a development permit, but a letter of compliance that we provided to a telecommunication company for a proposed location for a telecommunication facility in the town, where we're not the development authority, the federal government is, but we did issue a letter of support essentially after they went through the required community consultation process, which was public, but probably not very, I don't know that many people noticed, because the site itself is hopefully not really that impactful to the community or to many people in the community as a whole. It's kind of on the edge of the Ken Hornland Ball Diamonds.
Mm-hmm.
So there's few properties that are truly adjacent or impacted. Should it go forward?
Okay. Last chance, everybody. I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
We're having too much fun. I want to stay.
Was there,
Councilor
land use-
Carr moves to adjourn.
was there, sorry, was there land use bylaw amendments? 7.2,
There's nothing attached to that.
there's nothing, okay, I didn't see anything in the package, I thought maybe we had something that came in this. Okay,
All right, no, I
Good, never mind.
appreciate your
Sorry.
desire for being thorough. That's what makes this a great place to work. We want to redo Councilor Carr's motion to adjourn? Sure, still on the floor?
If you'd like.
I think we